It time football is back yet again.
Mhm.
Gabe and Nick are back to discuss another topic in the footballing world. And today we've decided to go for the Asian Cup. The semis having just finished an hour ago,
Yeah, it's
Iran and Qatar finished their mesmerizing game.
crazy. Absolutely
What
crazy.
a shock. For me, what a shock, even though Qatar is at home.
Mhm.
And Jordan going through, also a shock. It's another shocking international tournament, just like the AFCON.
I think what I find interesting about this one compared to AFCON is that AFCON had a lot of the shocks in the group stages. We know about like Ghana getting
Mm,
out, Tunisia getting out, stuff like that. Whilst Asian
yeah.
Cup group stages is like kind of what you would expect. But in the
Mhm.
knockouts, some of the upsets crazy. And we've ended up with an insane final. So crazy.
The final is I. If you would have told me before this tournament that Jordan firstly would be in the final and Qatar would be against them, I would be like, you're joking. You've got to be kidding me, no?
Yeah.
Iran, Japan, Korea, Australia, none of them in the final, but these two are.
Um,
And it's crazy to see. It's unexpected. And I have to say, this is my first time following an Asian Cup through and through.
them.
When we decided to start this podcast and we were thinking of topics, I thought it would be a good idea for us to follow the Asian Cup and for us to follow the AFCON because those will be going on at the time that we're starting. And I have to say, it has not disappointed the Asian Cup at all. It has not disappointed.
Really, that's it.
Powerhouses such as Japan or Korea, Australia get knocked out ahead of the final. And all those teams at the beginning of the tournament, you would have said were the favorites.
Yeah, it's
Probably.
wild. It really is just wild. I think
And
honestly, like
I'm gonna bring a couple fun facts into this
go
before
for
we
it.
get going on both of the teams,
I love it.
because today we're doing a review of the Asian Cup and a prediction for the final with those two teams.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
But before we start discussing the teams, I want to bring out a couple fun facts. I think this stat is made up by me, but if I'm not wrong, 90% or more, maybe even more, of the players in the Asian Cup final play their professional football in the Arab or Gulf area. So either in the Jordanian league or the Qatari league. I think only one of them plays in Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's the guy from like Montpellier, the one that plays.
Yeah, it's exactly. And I think I have his name down here. It's hard to deal with names that in this tournament you don't follow
Yeah,
really
it's
on a
like,
regular basis. Um, it's Altamari. That's who it
yeah,
is.
that was it.
And that shows the development that's happening in that part of the world in terms of football. That these players playing on these professional teams are outclassing national national teams such as Japan, Korea, Australia, Iran, who have well over half of their players playing in the top leagues in Europe. So that shows the development going on there.
Definitely.
And then another stat is in this final, both of the teams are ranked 58 in the FIFA rankings and under.
No way. Seriously?
Yes, Qatar is ranked 58, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. And Jordan is ranked 87th in the world.
I did hear that. I think this is the lowest an Asian Cup team is like a team in the Asian Cup finals ranked. Because the only other one for a while, because the only other one was in 2007. Iraq won the Asian Cup. That was like one of like the biggest upsets.
Yeah.
80 something ranked, but still higher than Jordan. So that just shows the levels. Impressive as Jordan made it this far.
So this just shows the unexpectancy of
Yeah.
this final in terms of viewers who are probably not supporting their own national team.
Mhm.
Totally unexpected, but that's what makes it so great. That's what makes it so great. So without further ado, I think we should go into the first team,
Go.
which is Jordan. Gabe, what do you have to say about this team?
I am so thrilled to talk about them because I was just nothing but just compliments to give them. I've been so impressed by them this tournament, really. And their only disappointing game was their loss to Bahrain in the group stages, but they played a rotated team. So again, they are really important then because, as we know, this is my rule of thumb. I think I've told you this before, and it's the same thing for also the Euros and AFCON. The rule of thumb is in order to get past the group stages, 4 points guarantees you it because the worst case you'll come as a third place, and 4 points should be. So after they got their 4 points, I think they were a little bit more like complacent in the last game, which is fine. But anyway, I've been so impressed by them. I think their counterattacking play has been sensational. The dribbling emphasis has been out of this world, like genuinely. And I was really struck by, in their game against Korea, how just tactically like aware they were of every time of winning back the ball in the midfield and then just feeding it to Altamari, who you mentioned before, who was their best player on the team, but also Al-Naimat, who's their striker. And I thought it was so crazy.
That's one of the players I was going to mention, is Al-Naimat with 3 goals and 2 assists. Unbelievable Asian Cup. Unbelievable Asian Cup. I mean, I can't add much more because if you look at their group stage, you think them coming third is you'd think it's overreaching for what their level is, but I believe they were slightly unlucky to come third.
I agree. It's literally because it's just a Bahrain game. If there wasn't, it would. Yeah, easily.
I don't think people would think on paper that it's a mediocre group stage for them. But I actually think they won 4-0 against Malaysia.
Yeah.
Al-Mardi, 2 goals as well, contributed to that with an absolute banger for the first goal.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And Al-Tamari has been on fire this whole tournament. They just have an attacking fluidity, an attacking flow that rivals any other team at this tournament.
It's so fluid. I'm extremely just astounded by because I forgot about this. They played Korea twice. They played them in the group stage as well. They narrowly just got a tie because they were about to win if it weren't for Korea scoring in the last minute. It was literally 2-2. Like 2-1.
I mean, Korea's story this whole tournament has been late goals and ties, hasn't it?
Yes, the bailout Jurgen Klinsmann just like horrible.
Yes, Klinsmann. I mean, I have enough to say about this man, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that another day when we talk about German football.
That's gonna be fantastic.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy that Jordan is able to beat a team like Korea, who internationally has been on the rise in terms of their support.
Right.
And so the fact that they beat a team that is known as the Giant Slayer almost in the World Cups, having beat Portugal and having beat Germany in recent years, shows that Jordan is legit.
Definitely.
And they tied them and they beat them 2-0 comfortably.
I was in the 2-0 that they won in the semis yesterday. I was extremely impressed by their defense, especially because we know the entire tournament Jordan actually have had a very fluid offense. We talked about Altamari and Al-Naimat before. Their dribbling, their passing play, fluidity. But defensively, they were very well structured. I was very impressed by them. I wanted to highlight especially, I thought, I know like a lot of like the media, a lot of the plaudits go to like, go to Al-Arab. I thought Al-Arab was just fantastic that game. I also thought Mare was very fantastic as well. I'm just having in my notes. Yeah, quality defending and very just smart. And I will also highlight one more player that I thought was sensational, was Noor, who's their number 8 in the midfield. If you look at that second goal, it's because of him that it gets the outlets into Altamari for the second goal. What he does so well is he in the best way possible chokes that midfield, that South Korean midfield. And I think we'll talk about versus Qatar later on, but I really think that could be effective against Qatar. So nothing but credit to give to them. And the win against Iraq was very impressive as well, I thought, because Iraq, Iraq, for me, actually, at the group stage, were one of my favorites to win because I was so impressed by Iraq. And then
they were very solid.
They were solid. And Jordan were getting a little bit like on the back foot, and the last 5 minutes exploded and got 2 quick goals, and that was just sensational. So hats off to them. I have nothing but praise to give to Jordan. I really do. So,
I mean, if you look at that last Korea game, you look at the front three of Korea: Son, Hwang Hee-chan, Kang In-lee. They managed 0 shots on target that game.
That shows the
Zero.
Jordanian defense, I think, as well.
Yeah. They still had 7 concrete chances, but none of them on target because most of them were all half chances. Most of them.
Yeah.
So I think, and also Korea had 70% of the possession. So that shows the counter-attacking ability, firstly, and also the defensive ability to not take the goals, even though you're getting outpossessed. And if there's another stat that I made, that every 16 passes that Jordan made, they had a shot.
No
So
way. Seriously, wow.
that, I think realistically, that's about a couple of drives, a couple of plays. Really, if you're starting from the goalkeeper, 8 passes, maybe if you're doing a nice slow build up, then it's going to be more. But every 16 passes, they had a shot. And half of those shots were on target. So
that's crazy.
That shows another thing that I'm impressed by with this Jordan team is they shoot a lot.
Definitely.
They take a lot of shots. They take long range hits. They've scored, I think, 3 or 4 long range goals this tournament. A few one-on-ones. And I think that is a great thing to take into the final.
100%.
Not having that fear to take a chance, to take a shot from far. In a final, sometimes you need to take those chances and you need to be quick and you need to be swift with your shot taking.
Definitely.
And I find that the fact that they don't hesitate at all in terms of the chances that they take shows their kind of drive to succeed and their drive to score goals.
100% agree. Like it's just really remarkable. Their fluidity is just remarkable. And I think also no matter the opponents, they didn't like play differently against Korea because many teams what they would play like a low block. Like I remember, for instance, Syria, because Syria played against Iran. I remember, and that was the one that ended up in penalties 1-1. Syria, they normally always play a low block. But even still against like some of the weaker teams, they go a little bit offensive, but they still maintain a very deep low block against Iran for a lot of the part, even though they did score from it, which is awesome. But I think that's what I admire about Jordan. No matter the opponent, no matter Korea, no matter the upset of the ability, still kept the counter-attacking play, choking that midfield. Fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah, they have stayed true to their tactics this whole tournament and it has truly paid off. So I think we can both be in absolute agreement that Jordan, despite at the beginning of this tournament, surprisingly getting through the group stage, not surprisingly, but they got through the group stage and you wouldn't think that they would go much further than that.
Yeah, in that sense, yeah.
And they have managed their way to the final by sticking to their football and entertaining us in the process, which is just what you love to see in these types of tournaments.
100%.
But they're going up against another team that I am surprised to be here. But if you have to look at the stats and the history, Qatar are the hosts. They're the holders of the Asian Cup. And I remember after 2022, after the World Cup that they had at home as well, where they ended the group stage very badly, a lot of people were wondering how this team won the Asian Cup. And I have to say, they have proved all the doubters wrong with 9 points out of the group stage.
This is my thing. So, as we talked about in the last episode, the team I roasted the most before in the tournament was Nigeria.
Yeah.
I had a similar attitude to Qatar. I never told you about Qatar just because it was like we were talking more about AFCON stuff.
Yes.
I have a similar thing about Qatar being very underwhelming because they actually have some very talented players. We'll go into more later.
They do.
Anmo Azali and Akraf Afif are just sensational. We'll talk about them more in a bit. But they did 9 points in the group stage. But I have to be honest with you, Mishka. I have to be honest. The worst group in the entire Asian Cup. I'm looking at the opponents. I'm sorry. I know you're going to be what's in front of you. I completely agree. But I'm not going to steer past the opponents. Lebanon were extremely just clueless in that first game. Then you have Tajikistan, who I admire. They actually have a good tournament, but they are still debutantes. They are definitely like overachieving for sure, but they're debutantes. And then you had, China, who had no offense this entire tournament, who had 0 goals.
Yeah.
Credit where credit's due to Qatar, yes, for maximizing their points. You can only beat what's in front of you, but I still did not use that as a basis for judging how Qatar would do plus the tournament, because I just couldn't, because it was not good enough quality. So that's my view.
I mean, I think coming out of the tournament, of the group stage with 9 points is impressive. No matter who is in your group.
No, for sure.
And they were dominant throughout the whole group stage.
Definitely. That's not.
Even though the last 2 games they only won 1-0, defensively they were dominant. They didn't let anything through. And so that's why I'm slightly more positive about their tournament maybe than you are, because the way I see it is when you come out only wins, you're doing something right. You're doing something very right.
Yes.
And they have been entertaining, actually, despite the fact that they're only doing 1-0s or only winning by 1 goal. I mean, against Palestine, they only won by 1 goal. They won 2-1, but an entertaining game nonetheless. They won on penalties against the tough Uzbekistan side. And I think now this game against Iran showcases that they are capable of beating bigger teams.
Definitely.
They are capable of it.
I mean, look, massive credit to them. I looked at the Iran game. I thought they were fantastic offensively. And again, I thought they played very smart tactics, and I think what they did, especially in behind, is that Iranian defense was very disorganized this game. And I thought they did really well to take advantage of it and capitalize on it. So,
yeah,
that in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this Qatar team.
Yeah,
Tata Marquez, the manager, the coach, has for this tournament said explicitly that he wants to find the perfect balance of offense and defense. And I actually think that he has not found it yet.
I was literally about to say that. I agree.
Because in the group stage, perfect defense, slightly underwhelming offense, except against Lebanon with the 3-0.
Yeah.
But in the knockout stages, they've been pretty fluid offensively.
Correct.
They've scored 6 goals, but defensively they've conceded 4.
Right.
So they've totally switched sides in terms of what their strength is throughout this tournament. And that's why when he said that, and I see the way they went to the group stage and then they went to the knockouts, I'm like, are you sure that's what you really want? Because it's not exactly what's happening here.
There's no balance occurring right now. It's full.
But they have had a couple star players. Almoez Ali has been very good. Akraf Afif, for me, has been the best player at this tournament.
Oh, 100, dude, his technical ability and his shot is insane.
He's an aggressive dribbler and he's a playmaker with the number 11. He does everything right. At least in this tournament, for what I've seen, he does everything right in that position. And 5 goals, 3 assists speaks for itself. Speaks for itself. So he's, in my opinion, been the best player at this tournament. But can these two, and maybe depending on what end of the spectrum they decide to go on in terms of the perfectly balanced, quote, quote, can this team take them over the line?
Is this going to be our predictions now that we're aiming at? Or what do you
mean, I don't have much to say more about this team than can they return defensively to their prowesses in this final against Jordan.
I think they're going to actually, if I'm going to be honest, I don't think they're going to achieve that balance. I think they're going to go offensively. I think they're going to do the same tactic they did against Iran. I think they're going to do an offensive focus.
That's probably very likely because obviously when you play a counter-attacking style of football, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Right.
And Jordan has managed to surprise people with it. But I don't think, at least if I was the coach and I was deciding a game plan against Jordan,
Right.
I would take the game right to them.
I completely agree. That's how they're going to be most likely.
Because playing a possession-based game where you build up slow is never going to do anything against a team that has the fitness of a counter-attacking style of play.
And that was demonstrated in the game against Koreans semifinal, because many times they forced them to lose possession, hit them on the counter. I agree. Completely agree.
Yeah. So that, for me, in this final, I think all the cards lie in Qatar's hands.
Really?
I truly believe that, because Jordan, despite all the prowess and all the praise I have given them and that you have given them, I find that they have not been able to showcase the control that is needed. Or even though their offensive ability is very good, if Qatar manages to find that defensive ability again, I see it being tough for them in this final.
I think that serves as the first big transition, therefore, for our final predictions, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my prediction is still going to be Jordan winning.
Really?
My prediction is still going to be Jordan winning. But I think Qatar would only have themselves to blame if Jordan wins.
That's a good point. I think it's fair. For me, it's very... All right, so if you remember last episode when we did the AFCON, you'll remember how much I was dissing Nigeria before the tournament.
Yes.
And I still ended up picking them because I think the path works out favorably to them. And I told you, I think if they go against GR Congo, they win, versus Ivory Coast, they wouldn't. So it would be hilarious if I did a similar thing for Qatar after dissing them so much. However,
you have said nothing positive about this team this whole podcast.
No, I think Akram Afif and Anwar Azadi, I think, are fantastic. And I think
okay, two players.
I think.
What about the 9 others? And the coach? And the system as a whole?
I think the system as a whole was effective today against Iran. So I give them massive props to that. I give credit to Qatar for beating Iran. I didn't say it was lucky or anything. I think I said I was worried about them defensively, but
yes.
So there's the credit. So it'd be hilarious if I picked them for the final. And do you know what? I'm not picking them for the final. I'm still picking Jordan. And
Let's go.
I have so much faith in this Jordan team, and I really mean this, because when I look at this, Qatar's advantage, they have the better star players. Their players overall are better than Jordan's. And Akram Afif and Anwar Azadi is a dangerous strike punch. Completely agree.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think I do see what you mean about Qatar playing into their hands, and I think you're right. I think Jordan is going to really set this up well. I think they're going to force Qatar to lose possession, especially with Noor in that midfield. And I think they're going to get great outlets into Al Tamari and into Al Naimat, and I think they're really going to punish them. I really do. I think also, because as we talked about, Qatar is going to take the game to them. I don't think they're going to play passive. They're going to take the game to Jordan. I think Qatar is not going to be great defensively this game. I really don't. And defensively, Jordan is actually better than Qatar in recent games. I've been more impressed by Jordan than Qatar.
I agree. In the knockout stages, for sure.
Definitely. And so my view is that I'm not going to say Jordan's going to keep a clean sheet. I don't think it's going to happen just in the same way it did with South Korea. They'll probably give up a goal, I think, realistically, especially if Anwar Azadi and Akram Afif will punish. But I'm going to go for Jordan to win this 2-1. I really think it's going to be one of those games where Jordan gets 2 quick goals, similar in the South Korea way, to make it 2-0. And I think with late pressure, they'll get one back. But I do really fancy Jordan here. I really think this is their best chance to win a trophy like this. And what a story this would be. This would be similarly on par to Iraq winning the 2007 Asian Cup in terms of the upset.
Yeah.
So I go with Jordan. I completely agree with you. It would have been but,
it would have been an episode that repeated itself. That's for sure.
Exactly. No, but this Qatar, unlike with Nigeria, because I think you made a great point in the last podcast, where defense wins you championships. And that's why I voted for Nigeria in the end, because they've been I can trust them defensively. I cannot trust this Qatar team defensively. Doesn't mean that they're bad, but I can't.
No, they've proved that they're good, but against Iran, they were not able to do it.
I agree. I like that.
So I think against a team like Jordan, who's going to take it to them, they're going to have their backs against the wall, and they have to do something. They either have to sit back and let it happen, which is what I personally think they will do, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Seeing the trend,
right.
And the at least the manager's tactical will.
Right.
But if they do counterattack, it's gonna be, if they do decide to push themselves off of the wall and punch back, then it's gonna be an interesting game.
Definitely. I do think this could be a very exciting game. I think both of them are very fluid offenses. This will be fantastic.
Yeah. Very, very fluid, very good players on both sides of the ball. So I know we picked Jordan, but I think Qatar has to be given credit for their tournament. Both teams deserve credit for their tournament.
I agree.
Both teams deserve credit. They've had different routes. They've had different entrances into the tournament,
right.
Different expectations, but we believe Jordan will win.
But let us know below, guys, if you agree. Comment if you agree or disagree. We're always open to debates.
We are always open to debates, and I think we just have to wait and see what happens at this point, don't we?
Definitely. But I'm so excited.
But this Asian Cup has been an absolute treat. Absolute treat.
Loved it.
And without much more to say, I think we can wrap it up there and say thank you for watching, guys. And we hope to see you soon and enjoy the final of the Asian Cup, Jordan versus Qatar.
We'll see you guys soon. Hope you guys love it.
See you soon, guys.